Now this video is long overdue, I apologize for that. Time to talk about it, but first, sponsorship! And before we get started, I want to thank the sponsor of this video. This video is brought to you by Dr. Squatch. Squatch continues to change the way men approach hygiene. They're using nature's best natural ingredients in their products. None of those harsh chemicals you can find in some of the other brands. They leave you looking great, smelling great, feeling great. And because the holiday season is upon us, Santa John's is here to give you some stocking stuffer ideas. Squatch doesn't just have soap, shampoo, conditioner, deodorant, beard oil, and I'm gonna tell you something about us guys with beards. This is why it's a good gift idea. We all love beard oil. We don't always buy beard oil. And the flavor is crushed pine, which is just liquid happiness. This is all backed by Squatch's 30-day money-back guarantee. If you don't like it, if they don't like it, get your money back, no questions. So click the link below and use promo code DSQJohns25 and new customers can get 25% off of your purchase of $40 or more. What happened? Felt like my hair grew back and my shirt changed just for 45 seconds. So God of War Ragnarok, new God of War game. The follow-up to the previous God of War game. It's been a few years for us, a few years for the characters in the game. The snow is rolled in, Ragnarok is coming. The Norse gods are very pissed that you killed some of the other Norse gods. And because they announced this is the final God of War game with Norse mythology and it's called Ragnarok, you know this shit is going down. And before we talk about what I like about the story, I'm gonna talk about gameplay because it is a video game and gameplay is mostly what you're gonna be doing. And the gameplay was great. They took what worked, had some tweaks, some rebalancing in some parts, and they send you forth. Go forth and prosper. Pretty epic action game. It's the same world traversing type formula as seen in the previous God of War. It's open world-ish. It's like an open world with guardrails. Not talking GTA here, more Jedi Fallen Order. Go into different worlds and you're traversing and then you get abilities that let you go to new places in those worlds. You see some areas in this game that you recognize from the previous game, but it looks a bit different. Also, I appreciate the fact that you don't have to just reacquire everything from zero. I was very pleased with the fact that you get the Blades of Chaos right out the gate in here. There is a new mechanic with the shield though, whereas the shield felt more like a third weapon in the previous game. It's like they took the concepts of the big hitting moves that the shield did in the previous game, they allocated it to different shields. So rather than having one shield that does everything, you have to choose how you're going to use your shield and pick the shield accordingly. But you want the bigger shield that's better for blocking, or do you want the high risk, high reward shield that's better for parrying and punishing? I'm all about that high risk, high reward. If I'm blocking with my shield in a God of War game, it's because I'm trying to get the timing down so I can counter and punish. Very few things in the world, gaming or otherwise, are as satisfying as countering an attack in God of War and punishing accordingly. So when the enemies of this fucked up Ragnarok worlds, when they realize, oh, this is a Souls game, and Kratos is the Souls boss.
None of you seem to understand. I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me!
You do have to unlock special moves and combos accordingly with your weapons. I really appreciate the fact that every one of these combos or special moves, if you do it enough times, you get an upgrade for that combo or special move. Do you want it to do more damage? Stun? What do you want? Even when you unlock the move, you're still working on the move. I like that. You do get a new weapon in God of War Ragnarok, a spear weapon, which I loved because you have fire and ice, respectively. The spear feels more neutral, though it is wind power, technically speaking. But it was a great weapon to go in on one enemy. That's also another thing I loved about the rebalancing of this game. The previous God of War game, I felt like when I got the Blades of Chaos, it was over. It was Blades of Chaos. That's what I used. I felt like this game did a better job at rebalancing the functions of the weapons. Blades of Chaos definitely crowd control. I mean, yeah, if you have an enemy that has frost shields, you're gonna use Blades of Chaos no matter what. But I felt like the Blades of Chaos were optimized for hitting a lot of enemies, a lot of crowd control. But my weapon for that need to go in on one single bad motherfucker was the axe or the spear. Every weapon gets its play. It's not like when you get a new weapon, the previous weapon is just left out. And this is a very in-depth battle system. It's like a combination of any two buttons is going to do something new. And I've seen gameplay footage of people playing this game online, and I'm always met with that feeling of, I don't play like that. But funny enough, it's unlikely. I mean, there is an optimized best way to play, I'm sure. Competitive gamers already have that mapped down. Like, they know the frame rate, they know the recovery for each hit, and I'm sure there is mathematically an optimum way of playing. That's just not how I game. But I found for God of War Ragnarok, this person doesn't play like this person doesn't play like me, I don't play like that person. People are gonna play differently. And I'm actually looking forward to going through this game again and playing differently, you know, turning off certain combos and certain moves. Like, okay, I'm gonna play this way now. I mean, I'm monogamous with my moves in here. Are you kidding me? When I find something that works, I'm like, that works, and I'm gonna do that. If I can't do that move, I'm sure I will learn to make it work. And the game is set up for you to be able to do that. Very in-depth battle system. I had myself a good time. And now that Atreus is a few years older, he is old enough to have his own solo missions in which you are controlling him. And now he has a companion with him, as Atreus is with Kratos, to help him out. When that first happened, I was like, oh man. It never felt like when most games do that. Like, okay, you're playing as the sub character now, and now they're not as powerful. He's not Kratos by any means, no. But he does still kick ass in its own right, and the game isn't divided 50-50. I'm just saying there are stretches where you do play as Atreus. But it's what Atreus does for the coming of age angle in this story. It's a coming of age story for Atreus. I've seen people say, oh, they nerfed Kratos, they made him a wuss. There is an arc with Kratos, you know, he's not the angry god killer he used to be. I mean, look at the previous game. He just wanted to put his wife's ashes on a mountain, and that's it. Gods kept poking, and then they poked the bear enough, and well, now Kratos is back. There is definitely a difference in the way he talks with Atreus in this game. You look at the previous game, he's like, boy, quiet. In this game, he's like, Atreus, I appreciate you opening up to me like that. If Kratos can be a badass while simultaneously not being a closed-off dick of war, what's wrong with that? It's just growth. Also, if Kratos isn't badass when the battles are going down, that is on us, the gamer. That's our responsibility to make him badass there. Now, it being Ragnarok, and it is all going down, I thought the story was a compelling one. Richard Schiff as Odin would never have thought he was the one to be cast as Odin. But I really liked what they were going for with Odin in here. It kind of reminded me of, I believe it was an Alan Watts lecture. You know, the plethora of Alan Watts recordings out there on YouTube or elsewhere. I get my philosophers mixed up sometimes. But the point is, I believe it was Alan Watts, and I was listening to this recording of him talking about how we mortals, human beings, are the end result of gods. Like if there were gods, all-seeing, all-knowing, immortal, they'd be going about existence, and at a point they'd be like, well, this is boring, so I'm gonna nerf myself. You know, maybe they don't know everything all the time now. They're gonna be going and they're gonna be like, well, I don't want to just be able to snap my fingers to get anything I want, so I'm gonna take that away. And they're gonna be going and they're like, well, I'm still immortal and life doesn't have any flavor to it. I still can't lose life, so I'm gonna take that away. And in the end, what you have is a human being. So if gods are real, they're just gonna end up becoming us eventually. Also, in Troy, Achilles has a great monologue about that. The point is, it's like, I felt like Odin heard that and he was like, that really speaks to me, because what does a god think when the buck stops at them and they don't have anyone to pray to? Also, Ryan Hurst was great as Thor. Everybody was great. I can't list all the gods, but they're generally speaking voices or actors you will recognize from game, live action, movies, TV, or otherwise. And by the end of this odyssey, this epic, I thought it was very heartfelt. Satisfying is the word I'm looking for. It's satisfying in gameplay and satisfying in story. One might call it a masterpiece. Is it better than the first one? That's like, if the first one is a 9.8, is this a 9.9 or a 9.7? Doesn't matter. What I'm trying to say is God of War Ragnarok is awesome-tacular. I will say, for trophy hunters out there, the platinum in God of War Ragnarok, easier than the previous God of War game. There is no enemy in this game that's as difficult as the Valkyrie Queen in the previous game. And I will stick to that till my dying breath. Everyone who took on that fucking Valkyrie Queen, everyone just has this phrase seared into their brain forever. And the phrase is, get up, brother. But God of War Ragnarok, have you played it? What did you think about it? Whatever you thought, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.